Hi, and welcome to Beauty Curious. My name is Dr. Elise Love, and I am a board-certified dermatologist.
And I'm Ian Michael Crum, a licensed esthetician.
Ian and I are excited to become your trusted beauty guides, from interviews with the best and brightest names in the industry to sharing our favorite expert-approved products.
We are here to help you navigate the noise by giving you the facts. Are you feeling beauty curious? Let's dive into today's episode. Okay, everyone, welcome back to Beauty Curious. I'm Ian Michael Crum. I'm here with my lovely co-host, Dr. Elise Love, and we are so excited. We've been trying to lock this down for months, but our friend Ron Robinson is here with us today. Hi, Ron.
Hey, Ian. Hey, Dr. Elise. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you for being here. Ron is a cosmetic chemist, like loads of experience, has worked with a ton of renowned brands, and he's also the founder of his own brand, BeautyStat. So, Ron, I just want to set the tone for anyone who's listening that might not know who you are, which is probably a really small percentage. You've had such a fascinating journey within the cosmetic chemistry space, from working with major brands. I know you worked at Clinique at one point. How did that lead you to launching BeautyStat?
Yeah, great question. Thank you, Ian. They call me the accidental cosmetic chemist because I literally fell into this industry. It's interesting, being here with Dr. Elise. My family wanted me to become a doctor. That was kind of the thing. My parents are from the Caribbean, and they only believed in two professions. You were either a doctor or a lawyer, and that was it. So I did well in sciences in school. So I did a double major, biology and chemistry, and did the pre-med route. I actually went to medical school for 1 year, and then I dropped out. So really disappointed.
Good for you.
Yeah, I tried it and realized it wasn't for me. And I moved back in with my parents. My mom particularly was very, very disappointed. And she was like, I don't know what you're going to do with your life. Get a job. So I started to send out resumes. So this is going back in the late 80s. This is back before the internet. So you literally had to go through the newspapers and circle the classifieds, which were the job openings. And then you would mail your resume to some PO box and just hope you were called in for an interview. So I get a call for an interview for a cosmetic chemist. And I'm like, what is that? But I go on the interview, I drive up, and it turns out it's the Estee Lauder Clinique building. And
casual.
Yeah, right. This is early 1990s, so 35 years ago. I drive up, I come into the interview, and they are so excited about my chemistry and biology degree. And they start sharing with me all of the things that they do in terms of formulating and developing skincare and makeup products. They hired me on the spot, and that's how I fell into the industry. And it's interesting, going back to my mom for a minute. So keep in mind, she's really disappointed. But after about a year working at Clinique, I come home with a bag of skincare products. And that's when I first realized that beauty spreads joy, because my mom was like, what's in the bag? She dove in there. She was trying all the products, and she was super excited. And in that moment, I was forgiven for dropping out of med school. And she was like, go do your cosmetic chemist thing and bring home products for me. So
it's like you're the favorite child now.
So that's how I fell into the industry. And then since then, I've worked as a cosmetic chemist and developer for a lot of big brands, including Clinique, La Mer, Revlon, Avon, and Lancôme, a division of L'Oreal.
That's quite a resume. I mean, I will say, I just want to highlight that. I think that is such a brave thing to do. And that's how you end up doing the thing that you're meant to do. When you can be on a track and you can be successful in that track and say, like, I don't want to do this, or like, this doesn't bring me joy. So like, I love that you were able to kind of like go against what your parents thought and like follow your joy. I'm curious. So you've been in this field for like a huge evolution. Like, I feel like the beauty space has evolved so much since you kind of first entered. I'm wondering, have you seen major evolutions in how the industry in itself approaches formulation? Or, when you went off to form BeautyStat, were there things where you were like, the industry does this, but I want to do this differently? How have you seen things evolve?
Yeah, great question. It's definitely evolved in terms of my approach to developing since I first started. First of all, there's a lot of information out there. And given my background and experience, I really lean into the fact that I've been doing this a long time. So consumers really appreciate the expertise behind it and the credibility I have. So I definitely lean into that. I also lean into being a educator around ingredients. Really, my goal is to educate and really break down how ingredients work, how a consumer can walk away and make better purchase decisions, whether that's from my brand BeautyStat or other brands. So education is key for me. And what I'm finding is that if consumers are educated and I can build a trust with them, they end up coming and shopping for my BeautyStat brand as well. But I'm okay. Shop everywhere. Just get the best products that are right for your skin. The third piece is the fact that I really tried to develop things that are unique. I'm not really interested in Me Too or copycatting or dupes. As a chemist, I want to make sure that I own the formula, that I develop it, and that we also go the extra mile in actually patenting our technologies as well. So there's ownership there to really show not only we developing uniqueness, but we own it as well. And the last piece is consumer insights, which is really driving really big picture. Why do we develop what we develop? And making sure we tap into the consumer, we listen to her or him, and we make sure that we're doing something and launching something that they want, that's relevant to their life.
Yeah, ownership is so big. I was just looking at a reel by Charlotte Parler, and she was saying that like most brands don't own their formulas. And so that's incredible that you're able to make something that's unique and have ownership of that product, especially given everything that's happening.
Exactly. Yeah. The prices are skyrocketing, tariffs, all of those things. And ownership gives you more control and helps you manage these, turbulent economic times.
So speaking about owning your formula and formulation in general, a question that I feel like I get on social a lot, and Elise and I spoke about, is stability. And I feel like there's this huge conversation around how certain products are formulated and like how long does that mean they last on shelf, specifically speaking about vitamin C and retinol. And I know you have a very special vitamin C. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts on stability and like how does that play into just ingredients in general, not just with your brand, but just talking about vitamin C or a very common ingredient people use on the market?
Yeah, so vitamin C, retinol, these are two gold standard ingredients. There's a lot of data supporting their benefit for the skin. It also, hand in hand with that, is that they're very unstable. Vitamin C tends to oxidize, retinol, the same thing. They need to be really packaged in opaque packaging, kept in amber or opaque packaging as well. Airless packaging is preferred. And what we've done is actually encapsulated each of the vitamin C L-ascorbic acid molecules so that it stays protected and it doesn't expose itself to air, oxygen, light, et cetera, until it's actually deposited on the skin. So that's a patented technology that we own. The other thing about that technology is it also time releases the vitamin C. So as you apply it to skin, you're getting a slow dose of delivery over time, over the course of the day as well. And that improves its benefits as well. I think where they might make the mistake, I think every brand goes in it with the goal of, hey, we're going to give the consumer a great experience with our products for X amount of time. I think where they might overlook is, hey, did we make too many units? Did we not sell through? Is the product or those units being stored in an environment that could accelerate expiration as well, whether hot temperatures or very cold freezing temperatures, too hot. In other words, you don't know what the storage conditions are. So it could be a very hot warehouse one day and a very cold freezing warehouse another day. That affects stability as well. So what most brands do is that they do test for stability in what we call controlled ovens, where we have different temperatures of ovens where we put a product or formula on stability in whether it's very cold temperatures to very hot temperatures, and even what we call a freeze thaw, which we're duplicating that warehouse environment that I explained, where it could get very hot or very cold. And we measure that a month, 2 months, sometimes 3 months. And if a product can remain intact, that is, it doesn't discolor, separate, start to streak, start to smell bad, and if it can withstand those types of conditions, then we know we have a product that could live and have a shelf life of up to 3 years unopened and opened. So once it's opened, then the clock starts. And usually it's about 1 year after the product is open, and then it's time to toss it. It has expired.
Is that 1 year? Is that just like an assumed factor, or is that also tested?
It's tested. And it's really a prediction. Okay. It's a forecast based on the results of that stability testing and those various temperature.
Okay. And that's why, like, for most of your like skincare products, if you flip them over, they have the little open jar.
Yes.
12 months, right. 9 months. And so that's saying how long after once it's opened.
Correct. That's when the clock starts. And I think that the variation there is depending on the product. Eye products, eye creams, where there's potential for contamination as you're sticking your fingers in them. They're being applied to an area which, can be prone to bacterial infection. Those have a shorter, open jar time frame. It may be 6 months versus 1 year for other products.
Yeah, I mean, the inventory thing is so fascinating because I feel like there's a lot of controversy right now around benzoyl peroxide and benzoyl peroxide products, and that seems to be where a lot of the variability is in the formulation. Is how is the product stored? What heat levels was it exposed to while it was being formulated, while it's being stored? That's just really fascinating. I've never thought about that.
Right. Yeah. Part of that controversy with benzoyl peroxide is whether or not were those products exposed to an unusual amount of heat, which might cause a benzene release. That would be unusual.
So for products, you're saying general rule of thumb after opening a year, some of them are shorter. In terms of that 3-year standpoint, like say something's fresh and then it goes and sits in a warehouse for so long, are there cases where it might not show a sign of kind of losing stability, but it still is unstable? You mentioned it might smell or maybe it separates, but are there cases where it still's kind of basically shot as a product, but you can't tell that it is?
No, those are the signs to look out for. Separation, change or shift in color or odor. If you see separation or like things kind of settling to the top or rising to the top, those are your cues. Streaking, where it doesn't look uniform any longer. And if it's stored in a cool, dry environment, it actually might be still okay. But we just want to give consumers guidelines to follow. And that's why the open jar labeling has become interesting. But all consumers have to use their best judgment. In a pinch, if my product is a couple of days older than expired, would it necessarily cause harm? If I apply it to my elbows and arms, probably not. So use your best judgment. These are guidelines that we want to give consumers so that they're not risking or causing any potential harm.
That makes sense. And also just for efficacy. Sometimes I have patients who come in and they've been using the same retinoid for 3 years. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to give you a new bottle. And you actually have to use it less often to reacclimate your skin, because I suspect that what you were using was losing efficacy over time. So even though your restart, if you've been using a product for a really long time and your skin has gotten used to it, but then you go buy a fresh bottle, you're getting the most potent form of that active ingredient.
Yeah, Dr. Reese, I'm really glad you mentioned that, because where it can become a concern is around sunscreen. We talked about expired sunscreen products. So again, you want to look for all of those things I mentioned to make sure it's not separated, et cetera. But sunscreen is an ingredient that does lose its efficacy over time. You might not be able to tell. So the question I get asked is it really dangerous if I use a expired sunscreen? Well, you're just getting potentially less sun protection than advertised because of that. So in a pinch, let's say you're out and about, all you have is your expired. Yeah, I think you might recommend
something's better than nothing. Yeah.
Something's better than nothing. But as soon as you get back, toss it, get a fresh one, and so you don't have to worry.
Yeah, with sunscreen, even though there is the 12-month after opening, I usually just say if it's a new season, get a new sunscreen. Because again, when we talk about sunscreens, people have them outside, they have them in high temperatures, they have the cap open and things are leaking out.
Right.
And so it's always better to just start fresh each season.
We know people's complaints is they're not using enough normally anyway. So it's like a double whammy.
Yeah, it's like teaching yourself a lesson. It's like if you used enough, you wouldn't have extra.
Totally.
So I feel like too in the skincare conversation, skincare fridges have had such a moment lately, especially with like the air quote kind of Sephora tweens and
Yes.
storing products. Does that play into extending product shelf life, or are there any risks with like a skincare fridge for certain products, like changing the temperature so much?
Refrigeration does give you a little bit of increase in the shelf life, because when you think about what refrigeration does, it really slows down the growth of organisms, bacteria, et cetera, mold, et cetera. So because it's slower to grow, you're extending your life of those products. So no harm, no
Okay.
harm. But again, you should be observant about any changes to the look, feel, texture of that product, and still consider tossing after a certain amount of time, certainly looking at the expiration dates.
Okay, and we talked a lot about formulation, and I feel like you've been so nice, and you're like, everyone tests their products, and everyone's formulas are stable. But I'm just wondering, because I just feel like everyone has a skincare brand. I get these emails, and they're like, I love skincare. I have this brand. Are there any
Yeah.
like things that you see where you're just like, oh, that's just bad formulation? Or do you feel like by the time it gets to the point where they're making bulk product, that most things are, they've had someone to fix things over?
I think what I'm seeing now, there's a lot certainly, but I think we're also in a fast skincare, fast
Yeah.
beauty
Yeah.
environment.
Mm,
And
yeah.
we're also in a dupe environment as well. So I'm seeing quality levels are good, okay to
Yeah.
good, but they
They're
look the
this.
same. I don't see anything that's really punching out as unique and different. So fortunately, the level is at that okay good level. So consumers are getting a product that's likely going to do what it says, but I'm not seeing anything that stands out. And I think that's what we're seeing right now in beauty, this dearth of
Yeah.
innovation. Where
Mm,
everything is dupe, everything is
Yeah.
looking the same, and the consumer is still confused about, is it really anything
That
better? And
hmm
I think that's what the challenge is for all of these brands that are
I
launching.
do agree with that. I feel like with skincare brands, there's just like this, everyone wants to have like new releases every 2 months. And I'm like, we only have
Right.
one
Yeah.
face. Like I understand that there are oily skin, there's sensitive skin, there's dry skin, but it's just like the amount of products that even like an individual brand is coming out within a year is so overwhelming to the consumer. And it can get really confusing with marketing too, because the beauty marketing people are fantastic. Like in my next life, I don't want to work in my next life, but if I did, I would do beauty marketing because it's so fun. But like I will sometimes have patients who come in and they're using the same product like 5 times, but they think it's doing something
Yeah.
different because they're all slightly marketed differently.
Oh.
And I'm
Hmm
like, oh no, babe, you're just using salicylate like 5 times in your routine.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the marketers have become really, spin
Yeah,
masters. How do you spin up and make the same old sound new and
yeah,
different again? There's a lot of that. And again, from my brand BeautyStat, not interested in copying. And with me, founder at the helm, I have to make sure it's unique and different. I have to make sure that it's something the consumer is asking
yeah.
for and serving it up in a way that, hey, this really seems different. And I can't just talk to myself about it. We do that through our testing, through our consumer database, really listening to the consumer and making sure that we're offering something that is relevant, unique, and that's going to delight her.
Why you have such a loyal following.
I love it.
So that is a great segue. What do you think is coming next? Just assuming that everyone gets their act together and we all start innovating, is there a
Yeah.
certain skin concern or certain ingredient that you think is really going to get the spotlight for 2025, 2026? Like, what are you predicting?
This is a podcast. We're not Uber, but I'm still going to ask you to give us a 5-star review after listening today. Thank you.
What I'm predicting is that obviously AI is super
Oh,
hot
yeah.
as a tech.
hmm
Everyone is looking to leverage AI, whether that's in content creation, customer service. Now we're seeing it trickle into product development, and where AI is
Oh,
coming in, it's actually helping us formulators actually come up with new and novel ingredients that might even perform better than some of the gold standards. that we've seen. And I specifically see this around peptides. Peptides are short chains of amino acids. And basically, it's a combination, it's a sequencing of those amino acids that makes each one unique. That's why you can have so many different peptides on the market. So the thing is, or the challenge is, can AI help us come up with this unique and novel peptide that might deliver some fantastic benefit for the skin? So I'm excited about what's coming out of that area that could really bring true net change innovation.
That's so
Yeah, I
interesting.
feel like I've seen that. I've like started to see that in the beauty industry. I feel like hair is kind of like leading
Yeah.
in that category just because hair was just like, here's your shampoo, here's your conditioner. And now all of a sudden we're getting all of these like biotech, like novel ingredients that are coming out. And so I do think maybe we are entering a different phase of skincare where we're going to have all of these like really exciting, like new ingredients to use.
Bigger sprouts.
And that's because that tech is expensive. It's really the bigger brands are the ones that are more able to leverage it. So I hope it democratizes at some point, and many types of brands, all sizes, can access that. But that's what I see as a big opportunity in the future in terms of innovation.
I definitely agree.
Do you see any sort of, like, we just talked about peptides, AI, the gold standard, vitamin C, retinol. Are there any other air quote older ingredients that people have known about, but because of AI or kind of new data within the market that they're having a resurgence, or maybe formulators are considering like using more of them because of the data coming out?
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about formulation, what's unique about it is really we're cooking, we're baking. We're combining ingredients in a special way. And I think I've heard some creators, influencers talk about fairy dusting. I don't know if you know that term.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So it's a term where a manufacturer might advertise that they have X, Y, and Z ingredients in the formula, but it might not be at a level that's tested or accepted as being able to really deliver results. So they're really making more marketing claims versus performance claims. And as a cosmetic chemist, my goal is to combine ingredients in the right way, the right ratio, the right percentage, to get the most benefits using less of them. Actually, I'd actually rather use less and get more out of it, because again, I want performance, but I don't want irritation. And that's the fine balance. So if I could combine less of these great ingredients and get the net benefit to be better, that's my goal. So I think there's an art of cosmetic chemistry, which is the combination of ingredients together and actually testing that full formula to confirm that it actually delivers results for the skin.
I love the thoughtfulness. I feel like there was so much fairy dusting with niacinamide, which is like an incredible ingredient, but like you literally can't touch one product, without niacinamide. I'm gonna make us go on like an aside just because you brought up peptides, and I feel like people are so confused by peptides. Could you just give us like the quickest little like primer on peptides and skincare, and then we'll get back to the point?
Yes. Yeah, peptides are short chains of amino acids. So basically, what they're doing is they are working to signal the skin to take certain actions. So there are many different types of peptides. There are peptides that moisturize. They could help stimulate collagen. We use neuropeptides in our peptide wrinkle relaxing moisturizer. These are actually signaling the skin from the surface to tell expression lines and wrinkles to relax, chill out a bit. And that's where you're getting this, this relaxed look to those areas. Not a replacement for Botox and other injectables, but it's a topical alternative to those for those people who want to complement to their derm treatment or are afraid of needles and just would rather use a topical product. So these are different types of peptides that can work. So they have different benefits depending on their combination of amino acids. And that's where AI comes in, is that it could help predict or put together these unique combinations of amino acids to form peptides that can actually have unique benefits for the skin.
That was very helpful. I think that's why people get confused, is because there are different types of peptides that do different things. And so I think that was like the perfect primer. Getting back to talking about formulation and innovation, AI is, probably a plus. This is one, I'm like very anti-AI, but I do think like from a medical standpoint and a like formulation standpoint, it actually is really exciting. What about on the flip side? So, with environmental changes, with climate change, with increased pollution, with increased like UV exposure, like do you see formulation? Is that something that in the work people are thinking about? Like, how do we better protect the skin from the environment as the environment changes? Are we thinking ahead for that?
Yes, and I think this I should actually add on to some of the innovation I see coming down for this year and years coming is this idea of antioxidants and
Yeah.
anti-inflammatory ingredients. So I think right now we're getting where the consumer is actually recognizing that the food, the air, everything he or she is exposed to could be causing damage, which could lead to either any things happening internally or, of course, appearing on the skin. So I do see innovation around, again, antioxidants, anti-inflammatories, things that are going to protect our skin, that are going to keep us or protect us from inflammation. Consumers are recognizing what the term
Yeah.
inflammaging, which is,
Yep.
if you guys know what that is, this constant, always on exposure to inflammatories, which are causing this inflammation within our bodies that is leading to, it could end up leading to this disease, this concern, and it comes out of manifests on our skin as well. So I think, yes, the consumer is definitely there. And I think the brands were really stepping up, and we have something new that we're addressing that concern as well.
Okay, I'm excited for that.
Ooh.
I'm excited.
A teaser for later in the compost.
I would say I've seen that, like particularly with melasma, like the way we approach melasma. I feel like even like 5, 7 years ago, it was all about like pigment regulation, pigment regulation, pigment regulation. Now, one of the things I realized is most of my melasma patients have really sensitive skin. And so many of the things that we were trying to use to treat their pigmentation is actually making it worse. And when you really load them up on antioxidants, when you really load them up on like soothing and hydrating ingredients, they respond to treatment so much better. And so, yeah, I think that that's definitely a big plus that we're realizing.
Absolutely agree. I think the consumer is exercising patience and understanding that, hey, I've got to do this to maintain and protect myself. So we appreciate consumers finally recognizing that and doing something proactively about it.
So discussing all this future innovation being powered by AI and looking at like data with ingredients, I'm curious how you both as just a cosmetic chemist in general, but then also as a brand founder and thinking through, what products are you going to launch? How do you really evaluate if an ingredient trend or an ingredient you're isolating is like worth it and not just chasing hype? So where do you pull in the science backing? Like, are you focusing on clinicals? Are there other tests you might be doing? What are all of the kind of boxes you want to check whenever you're looking at both an individual ingredient and then like a larger formulation?
Yeah, great question. Definitely looking at clinicals, and we could do small clinical trials. Testing aesthetics are key. So you could have a fantastic ingredient that really shows some clinical benefits, but if the aesthetics are really bad and you can't get consumer compliance or interest, then it's not good. And that's what requires a lot more work and time. So
what would an example be? Like something smelled weird, or?
Yeah, it could be a really strong foul odor. It could be a look. Some things that we tap into from nature can be really dark and unappealing in a product. So those are some of the things that we look for, and that takes time to work with. How do we work that, incorporate that ingredient at an effective level that's also going to really give the consumer a really good or great experience with it?
I feel like if the product was like a novel color, like not like a cream color, like most moisturizers or whatnot, I'd be excited. I'd be like, what is this? Like, where's it?
I think
Like if it's not artificially colored, if it's like just from the actual ingredient, I'd be like, wow, what's happening here?
Like, ooh, it's
and to that more, like beef tallow, not a pleasant. It smells like beef. It smells like grease. So that's a case where some consumers are willing to endure a unpleasant odor feel in order to get the supposed beauty benefit from it. So,
yeah.
Yeah. So,
But we want to do
Ron,
that
do you like
without the fear
Ron, are you
mongering, you know?
right.
Ron, are you a fan of beef tallow?
I'm not. Hey, I think for some people it's totally fine. I think some of the claims around it are really, really exaggerated. So consumers really need to be careful. I'm here. It does everything. It's a sunscreen. It's fine lines and wrinkles. It's anti-acne, which is really interesting because beef tallow, it's a very rich fat. It's got to be pore clogging.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how it's anti-acne when in its nature, its form, it is very comedogenic.
It's so funny. I have a patient. She's like a long time Botox patient of mine, a long time everything patient of mine. So she's coming and we're like doing her treatment. And she's like, what do you think of beef tallow? And I'm like, well, I mean, it's like a fat-based oil. So for people with really dry skin, you know, if you like it, I love it, but it's not what I would recommend. And then I just go, but I would never recommend it for your skin, obviously, because you're acne prone. And her face was breaking out. And she was like, oh. she's like, that's why I've been breaking out the past 3 weeks. And I'm like, yeah, don't do that again.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. But it was so funny because she was like, oh, okay. And I was like, but I would never, like, not for you.
Right. So that's a TikTok trending culture. We're in the viral trend. You know, people are excited about trying new things. So it's up to us. We have to just educate.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked a lot about formulation. We've talked about innovation. So what can you let us know that's coming up with BeautyStat? Any launches? Anything new coming?
So yeah, guys, we have a hot new launch. We are known as the innovators around vitamin C. Now in stabilized vitamin C. So we're bringing that technology to the lip treatment category.
Mouth drops.
So we are launching.
Oh, we got a package preview.
Yes.
Okay.
BeautyStat C Lip Serum, and we're leveraging pure patented stable vitamin C, and we're leaning into its antioxidant benefits along with mineral sunscreen SPF 30.
Oh my God, where's my microphone? I want to drop it. I'll use this other lip product. What?
And it's tinted. So BeautyStat is going into this hybrid category of tinted lip treatments. You know how hot they are.
Oh.
I'm going to demo it for you right now.
Ron, where are samples? Elise and I need samples of this. Like what? So we need a PR sample.
This is the nude color that's coming out. And it is juicy. It's hydrating. It brings shine. And what we're emphasizing here is the lips. We know the lips are a very sensitive part of our skin, less layers. It's prone to chapping, dryness. It's also very prone to UV damage as well as skin cancer. And we want consumers to protect the pout. We want consumers to protect their lips with a mineral sunscreen. We chose mineral because mineral sunscreen more tolerated by those with sensitive skin, and our lips are very, very sensitive. So we wanted to give the consumer protection. It's not a long wear. We want consumers to reapply. So after a couple of hours, the tint will go. You'll feel really hydrated, but that's your cue to reapply.
That's smart.
So we're super excited about this. This retails for $15, and we're super excited. So
wow,
guys, BeautyStat.
When does it come out?
It's out May 1st.
Oh, yay!
Okay.
May 1st. So hopefully this goes live on May 1st.
Yeah.
So super excited about this launch.
Wow.
Really exciting. And this is just a swipe. This is the neutral peach.
Oh, I'm so excited for that.
You could see how sheer it is. And again, it's super hydrating. It's emollient. It's working to plump and protect. And the vitamin C, as you know, Dr. Elise, the combination of pure vitamin C and sunscreen works synergistically to protect the skin from, broad spectrum UV as well as free radicals.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so excited about that because lips it's one of those missed areas in terms of like people are putting SPF everywhere. And my patients are always asking me for SPF lip recommendations. And so the fact that this also has vitamin C, because we know no sunscreen is 100% effective, is really exciting. That's amazing.
Yeah. Again, the level, it's not an irritating level of vitamin C. It's just enough to provide a powerful antioxidant protection in combination with that mineral sunscreen. So again, we want to give the consumers protection and we want to make this super fun. The flavor is a mandarin orange. It's almost like
Ooh.
a dreamsicle
Ooh.
flavor.
Okay.
So
I'm a
it's
child again.
so
I love
juicy.
that.
Yes, yeah. So definitely we'll be sending you guys samples.
I love that. And we
Oh
know
my
the vitamin
God.
C is at a level where it is active and doing something because we just had this whole conversation with you. So even more excited.
That's correct. So super excited and excited to break the news with you guys.
Congrats, Ron. I love that. I feel like I learned so much today, but I want to leave the audience, anyone listening who might be an aspiring cosmetic chemist or even founder out there with, you have so much industry knowledge, Ron. So we have to ask, is there one piece of advice that you wish someone gave you early on in your career that you could share with potential cosmetic chemists or other founders out there?
Yeah, I wish someone told me the importance of storytelling and how important that is for any field position, whether you're a founder, whatever role you hold, being able to tell your story, tell a story, because that's what gets people excited and gets people to believe, trust, and ideally you want them to agree with what you're saying and what you're doing. So that's the key thing. I've learned that, I've evolved that as I've become a brand founder, but this serves everyone. It serves the student in school. It serves those out in the workforce. You want to tell a story and get consumers or get people, peers, colleagues excited about what you're doing. And then you win.
Yeah. And I was just like, again, highlight where you started. I think the reason your story is so powerful is that you are so authentic and you're so truthful to what brings you joy and what brings you intellectual interest. And so that ability to really, be truthful to yourself, you can then be so impactful to other people. So yeah, fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, so that was very positive, but let's go negative. Is there any skincare myth or skincare trend? You do a lot of education on TikTok and Instagram. Is there anything that's driving you crazy these days?
Beef tallow is one of them. We talked about it. It's definitely one I keep on finding myself having to come back and educate more around it. I'm getting a lot of sunscreen questions now as well.
With the make your own sunscreen, sadly, online. Oh my God.
DIY, mineral versus chemical. I'm getting a lot. The whole Korean sunscreen, is it indeed better? There's a lot of questions around that. So expiration dates, like we talked about, these are the big things that I have to keep coming back and sharing more, educating more around.
Yeah, I feel like SPF is one of those things where it just like you can never educate enough on it because there's always some like opposite clatter that's like
Right.
And so you just like are always having to like address these things.
For sure.
We always like to end the podcast with a few rapid questions. So this is our rapid round. Final question. If you had to formulate a dream product, I feel like you already are formulating a bunch of dream products. That's the whole kind of ethos of your brand. But if there was no budget and you had no restrictions whatsoever, is there a certain dream product you would make and why would you make it?
Yeah. Consumers are really recognizing body as an area that needs treatment as well as the face. The issue, and I think why more brands don't do full body, like full as, concentrated as the face, because from a cost of goods perspective, you have to give the consumer a lot more product to spread and use on the skin on their body. So my dream product would be able to deliver a high potent active body treatment that addressed a lot of concerns around the body in a cost-effective way.
I support that dream. Follow that dream.
We're going to be cheering you on to figure that one out. Maybe AI will help you figure that one.
I hope so.
This has been such an incredible conversation. I feel like I learned so much. I feel like I was inspired. It's always really nice to talk to fellow experts. You, like I said, do a lot of education on social media. So please let our viewers know where they can keep up with you and also where they can purchase their BeautyStat.
Oh, amazing. Thank you, Dr. Lee. So you could find me on Instagram at Ron Robinson Cosmetic Chemist and on TikTok, Ron Cosmetic Chemist. And of course, follow my brand BeautyStat. And BeautyStat is sold nationwide at Ulta Beauty, Amazon, as well as our website, beautystat.com.
Yeah. And where will the lip product be at Ulta too, or is it just on your website when that comes out?
Lip is launching website 5/1, Ulta.com the week later, Amazon the week later. So you can get it. And we're going into, sorry, when I've got to reapply. It's my son's. It's the neutral peach. And yes, 5/1 is the launch on our website.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much. Have a great day. Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Our DMs are always open.
We're always looking for new show ideas.
Ask us skincare questions.
Let us know what you're beauty curious about.
Give us a follow over
at our Instagram at BeautyCuriousPod
to see snippets from each show. Thanks for watching.